That was a multidisciplinary team involving experts from a number of different fields you wouldn't necessarily put together, or you would normally put together. So the team included Marielle Moreno from Cranfield University, myself leading the project as a principal investigator, and then we had Leila Sheldrick from Imperial College, Matt Sinclair from Loughborough University, and of course Emma from the Open University. So a very multidisciplinary team with skills from engineering and design.
So the research idea came out of the sandpit that RECODE held last year, and I think what linked all of us together, our interest was, where do people sit in this idea of distributed manufacturing? So the project really grew from understanding, how can people be in this, in a sense, a loop that links new forms of production and consumption. And so the project really looked at ways to explore that across the life cycle of a product or many products. And in that we had lots of different work packages addressing different aspects of that cycle.
Instead of looking at manufacturing in a conventional sense, as you would expect from the title of the network and the title of the project, we looked at it from the consumer's perspective, and what are the possible touch points between consumers and design teams, product developers, in sort of a fast-moving consumer goods and durable goods type scenario, type of industries. So what we found was a number of different ways this interaction can be facilitated through software, game-like approaches, very engaging game-like approaches that lead to the capture of data that can drive the development of new products, as well as mapping the possible journeys consumers would have in specifying essentially the products that they would want to consume, they want to buy, and how they would interact with the products afterwards throughout the life cycle of the product itself.
I think the surprising thing across the whole project is probably, I suppose, when you try to develop new types of business scenario, which is what the project was trying to do, trying to think about what are those business as unusual scenarios, and what comes out from those is that fundamentally there's probably a need to begin to question some of the rationales of business practice if you're thinking about circular economies, sustainability and redistributed manufacture. It's not always about maximum profitability, it's sometimes about optimum profitability and how cycles of material can happen in different ways across those product life cycles. So I think some of those underlying and perhaps fundamental questions about RDM are yet to be answered, and that's maybe something that we might be looking at next.
I would be very keen to explore further research. Of course, we have collected a wealth of data at the moment, which we can write up and publish through the more traditional academic routes, as well as more sort of industry accessible routes, if you like, through white papers, as we have done. One of them is out there already through the RECODE network report.
I think things that we could be working on in the future obviously stem from the 4 different business scenarios that were created from the project. So they reflected both large data-based people interaction versus more individual consumer interaction, and also reflected sort of short and longer term product life cycles. And I think each of those scenarios reflect very different elements of RDM potentially, particularly in the context of circular economy. So I think building on the publications we've already written that have been published at various conferences and the workshops we've done, I think there's definitely opportunities to look at those sort of fundamental elements of those scenarios and actually question how we actually get a bit more meat on the bone really, and think about what that would mean in practice, engage with our partners a little bit more perhaps going forward in terms of new bids.